We can't prevent every emergency, but how we respond when one occurs can mean the difference between life and death, as Connie Myers discovered on September 25th, 1984, at her home in Scottsbluff, Nebraska.
Jamie and I had taken my husband to the airport so that he could go to one of his annual meetings.
Hey, honey, are you going to stay out and play for a while?
I knew that in a few minutes we'd be leaving again because as soon as the bus arrived home with David, we were planning to go out and have supper together. I had tried to stop him and warn him as to how dangerous it could possibly be. But as little kids will be little kids, they don't always choose to listen to what you tell them. In a few minutes, I heard the bus come.
Eight-year-old David was just coming home from school.
I was walking to the house, and I saw some feet under the garage door, and I thought it was a prank or something. But then I realized that the garage door had came down on him, and it wasn't a joke.
Mom, get out here! Jamie's on the door! Jamie!
And we quick tried to open up the door. We tried lifting it, but he was trapped.
Go around and turn off the switch!
His body was already turning purple and blue, and he was cold. It's one of those things you don't realize if just a couple minutes have passed, or maybe it's been 5 or 10. David ran around and punched the door from the inside.
It won't work! It's not going!
And got no response.
I don't think he's breathing!
The remote control that was laying beside James did not respond.
Connie called the nearest fire station.
Scottsbluff Fire Department.
Scottsbluff fire rescue units were immediately dispatched to the scene. An ambulance was also sent.
I felt like I had to help James and get that garage door up. Out of frustration, I kicked the door. Something must have loosened up, and it opened. I turned James over and attempted mouth-to-mouth resuscitation that I had learned by seeing on a poster.
God, what'd you do? I don't know, I just kicked up the garage. Is he breathing? I'm not...
Neither one of us had had any official training in giving artificial respiration.
Is it doing anything?
We really weren't getting any responses of any kind. I almost didn't know what to do. I just knew that he had to have oxygen, that would be critical.
He's not breathing.
Whether he was still alive or not, it would flash through that this may be it. Maybe he is gone, but we didn't want to think that way.
Units are 1097. Hold short of the driveway there.
Within 4 minutes of the call, firefighter EMTs arrived on the scene, led by Captain Dan Murphy.
When we found the child, he was laying on his back in the driveway just outside of the garage.
He's been unconscious for about 5 minutes.
We began doing our primary assessment. His coloration did indicate that there had been some oxygen starvation. Not knowing how long he had been in the garage before someone had discovered him, very definitely a serious situation.
Within a few minutes, Valley Ambulance arrived to transport the boy to the hospital.
Get him situated here. Ready to roll?
At all. He's just not moving anything.
His treatment was continued by EMT Doug Carroll.
Jamie?
He was having what looked to be some type of seizure activity, which was concerning me. There's a lot of things going through my mind. You know, if we had brain damage, if we had a neurodeficit, I really didn't know if he was going to make it or not.
It was like being in shock. I mean, 1 minute Jamie was fine and happy and running around, and now within minutes we were wondering if he was going to be alive.
Sherry, can we get some vitals right away? Put him on a monitor?
The monitor looks good.
Jamie was examined at Regional West Medical Center by Dr. Catherine Collins.
He had a crush injury to his chest, and he had suffered a brain injury from lack of oxygen and from increased pressure on the brain. Shine the light in.
They kept getting reports that he just wasn't stabilizing.
When Jamie was finally stabilized, he was placed in a drug-induced coma to try to reduce the swelling and pressure on his brain. His father, Joe Myers, rushed to the hospital as soon as he learned of the accident.
We were asking lots of questions. Well, is he going to be okay? Is this life-threatening? What are the chances like that? And we weren't getting any real positive answers. Matter of fact, kind of negative.
I refused to leave the hospital. I didn't even want to come home and check on anything. I felt that I wanted to be there if anything happened whatsoever.
After 36 hours, Jamie was brought out of the coma. Tests soon revealed that he had suffered no permanent brain damage. Six years have passed since the accident. Jamie Myers is 11 now.
We had only lived here about a month prior to this accident, so we weren't familiar with a lot of the mechanisms on the garage door. Garage doors have adjustments on them from light to heavy. And apparently this one was set at a heavier setting. There's also a bar
improperly installed. Largely because of his older brother David, Jamie was not among them.
I really don't feel like I'm a hero. I just feel like I had to do what I had to do. The happiest moment for me is when he came home.
You finally realize how close siblings really are and how much they mean to each other and how much your children mean to you as well.